Hey, is this thing on? Hello? Hit it again. I think it's on now. Welcome to Hiker Trash Radio, where each week, Doc will drag some colorful characters out of the woods to talk trail and Type 2 fun. If you're aspiring hiker trash, or if you're just looking to understand the hiker trash in your life, look no further. So lace up those boots, gnaw on some jerky, and settle into your 20-mile pace as we fire up the podcast from somewhere deep in the backcountry. It's time to embrace the suck.
Welcome back to another week on the trail, dirtbags, hiker trash, and of course, good-smelling day hikers. I'm Doc, and this is the John Freaking Muir Pod. Hey, if you like what we're doing here, leave us a review on Apple Podcasts and help us move up the charts. And if you don't like it, well, just go ahead and keep that to yourself. All right, let's get to this week's guest, a former Boy Scout and Marine, and a current search and rescue team member, and also current badass, John Woods. Welcome to the John Freaking Muir Pod, John. How's it going?
I'm doing well. How are you?
Great. Thank you. Hey, do you have a whole lot of through hiking experience?
Not much through hiking experience at all.
Okay.
Maybe a full day. That's about it.
So what we like to do, if possible, is go by trail names here on the podcast. That's that unique American tradition of hikers giving each other names based on, peculiarities, maybe the town they're from, maybe something that happens during the trip. Is there any similar nickname practice in maybe search and rescue?
Oh, I don't think so, but I do have people call me it, and I just kind of brush it off. They always call me chicken legs because I have incredibly skinny legs, and I've been called that pretty much all my life, and I'm okay with it. I've kind of gotten used to it by now.
Well, I mean, if you're not fond of it, I'm not going to call you chicken legs. I mean, you have the right to refuse a trail name.
Oh no, it's okay. It's totally okay because I hear it all the time, and it's just like, okay, that's okay. I'm totally okay with that.
Well, I may throw in the occasional chicken legs then.
Okay.
All right. Hey, John, have you had a chance to listen to the podcast before?
Just a little bit. Not a whole lot. Not a whole lot.
That's okay.
But good information since I'm not a real through hiker. So I like hiking, but I've never done a long overnight thing, except for Whitney. That was a couple days.
Okay. Now, I only ask if you've listened before because I want to make sure that you are aware of a segment we do towards the end of the episode. It's called the Hiking Hack. And that is where you get to share some of your outdoor adventure experience and wisdom to make our listeners' next trip to the outdoors even better.
Oh, absolutely. I got that.
Right. Save up some wisdom. We'll hit that at the end. But you can drop some wisdom throughout the episode if you like.
All right. Will do.
Okay.
Trailblazers Toolkit.
All right, that's right. It's time for the Trailblazers Toolkit, sponsored by the ultralight backpacking gear company 6 Moon Designs. John, I love to talk about gear on the podcast. I love to hear about the most important item in my guest's adventure gear. So if you were preparing for your next adventure or your next search and rescue excursion, and I was the one providing you with all your gear, what is the one specific piece of gear you would insist on being packed? Give me all the specifics on that piece of gear and tell me why you've got to have it out there. This can be any type of item. It could be gear, it could be apparel, it could be a luxury item. So chicken legs, what do you have to have in your bag when you're going out?
Number one for me is good shoes. It doesn't particularly have to be hiking boots. Hiking boots are great, and I love them, but they're too heavy. A good pair of tennis shoes, which I go for right now, are Ultras. Ultra Lone Peak number 7. I have 3 pairs of them, and I've used them all on every single piece of terrain, even out in the snow with some good micro spikes. That is number one. I do have a pair of Zumberland hiking boots. They're like $350. They work great, but my running shoes, trail running Lone Peak shoes, can't live without those. Those are my favorite.
Yeah,
And
those are a popular choice with the hikers
yeah,
out there.
yeah, I love those. Love those. And going up, a good pair of socks, and it's the Injinji, not the toe socks, but the soft ones. The Injinji toe socks are fine, but they're a pain in the ass to put on. They just drive me nuts. Injinji has another pair of socks that have a little bit softer, and they actually seem like they have more cushion on them. And they're kind of new, but I don't remember the name of it. But Injinji socks. Next, for pants are always the cool pants, KUHL. I think that's how you pronounce it. Really good pants for that. Or if not, a pair of running shorts. I will wear those.
Okay. We covered the full gamut right there. We got like 3 or 4 in one. Ultra is very popular. Injinjis. When you say Injinji, I naturally think of the toe socks, but happy to hear that they've got another set out there as well. And I think those cool pants, I think that's how you pronounce it. I've seen those before. Cool pants. Those are a good choice as well.
Yes. Yes. And then my top is usually just a smart wool top whenever I'm going out. Nothing too REI that I wear only for a little while because usually I get very hot. And a good pair of trekking poles.
Okay. Very good.
And I can be honest about usually I fuel up and that's it.
Hey John, seem to be having a problem with the internet here. I don't know if it's you or me. I'm going to check my system here just to make sure.
Because that's there. I'm going to go. I think I'm going to go upstairs. I think that'll be better.
Okay.
Here we go. Get to where all our TVs are at. Okay. I think, yeah.
You think that's better?
Yeah, this should be better. Yeah.
Okay.
Definitely. What's light?
Okay, I think I just need to.
How much light is in this room?
That's okay.
There. That's a little bit better. There, maybe right about here.
Yeah, you look good there.
Yeah, that's much better. There we go.
Okay. Let's cross our fingers and hope that was it and it wasn't on my end here. I'm just double checking here. I think I'm looking pretty good right now. And I think I got enough of you coming through to maybe just do a little bit of editing and clean that up. I think there's just some gaps in between when we were talking. And so we'll go with the next segment, which is the hiking pole. So here we go.
It's the hiking pole.
All right, John, it's time for the hiking pole. And that is pole spelled P-O-L-L with 2 L's, like a survey.
All right.
Not like the kind of thing you hold in your hand out there. I explain that every time because I think I'm very clever having come up with that. And my guests,
very nice.
They have the same look that you have on your face, like right now. Like, oh, okay, yeah, nice. All right. This is a 7-question survey. Helps me give you a score on the sanity scale from 1 to 100. 1 is completely insane. 100 is completely sane.
All right.
All right. So the higher the score, the more sane you are. So if I were to ask your wife, where you would fall on the sanity scale, what number do you think she'd give?
Oh, she would give a 1. She thinks I'm completely out of my mind. She loves me, but she knows that I am. That's how we met. The way we met was off our dating site. And I had here we go. minimalist blue New Balance running shoes. I took a picture of that, and she's like, "What kind of shoes you wear?" And I sent her that picture of my minimalist shoes from almost 20 years ago. And I don't have those shoes anymore, but they were all broken, torn, tattered, and she fell in love with my craziness.
Well, you know what? If you can find somebody that loves you for your craziness, I mean,
yeah,
you are in the right spot. So congratulations on that.
Oh yeah.
All right. So 7 questions, all related to hiking in one way or another. And
okay,
see which side of the issue you fall on. It's always best to give a bit of explanation to help me adjust my score.
Okay.
Okay. First question: trekking poles or no trekking poles? And you've already said this, so I feel like I know what you're going to say.
Oh yeah, trekking poles all the time. They've saved my knees a lot. Even when I'm going downhill and I'm bombing downhill, I use them. Yeah, I just plant, and for me, it's 4 points of contact now instead of just 2. So when I'm going up, I use them. When I'm going down, I'm using. Sometimes I do put them both in one hand, and if I'm going pretty good, I may not use them. There's certain parts of the trail that I don't use them, but on 90% of the time, I have my trekking poles, the REI. I think they're called Black Terex poles. They're extended ones out. I used to have a pair of Black Diamond ones, and I broke those. The Z ones, I've had 2 pairs of those, and I broke them both. So it's always the extended twist and lock for me all the time. But yeah, every time I go out, it's always trekking poles, all the time. Yeah.
Now tell me about breaking the poles. I mean, you've broken 2 sets. What particular move are you doing that causes those poles to break?
Oh my goodness. I'll tell you exactly the spots, and it's always around the same spots. It is on Ice House Canyon Trail coming down. If you're familiar with Ice House Canyon Trail, there's a section of pretty much nothing but rock. And I'm tearing it up, going. And I remember the Black Diamonds were the last ones I broke. I stuck it in a thing, and I just broke them. I just stuck it in, and I wanted to yank it out of there. And I didn't just stop and kind of wiggle it out. I wanted to yank it, and it just snapped. And I'm like, what, no more of those type of poles, no more Z poles for me. It's the heavy, they have to be a little bit heavier. The RDI ones are working really good for me now. And, yeah.
Now we've established you have chicken legs. How about
yes.
the rest of you? You look pretty substantial as I'm looking at you in the picture here.
Yeah, I weigh 160 pounds. I have very thin legs. I've always had thin legs, but I have a bigger upper body. Now, anybody, by now I don't really care what people think or what they say about what my body looks like. This is what it is. Now, I will guarantee this. I will take any trail ultra runner and I will destroy them in pull-ups. Absolutely destroy them. They have great in trail running and they're really great, and that's awesome. But picking up heavy weight, I'm going to say I would beat all of them. Every single one of them. They cannot pick up heavy weight. I can pick up heavy weight. I have a deadlift of about 350. My bench press is now at 275 for reps. I can do 20 pull-ups straight through without stopping. I can do ring dips. I can do muscle ups. And I love burpees. I absolutely love burpees. And I've done a few times where I said, okay, I'm going to do 1,000. I'm just going to sit here and I'm going to sit in it until I get done with 1,000 burpees. And I've done that more than a few times. So my upper body strength is really strong. And the other part, I work that upper body strength every day without fail. This is day 1,200 and something. I have to calculate it in some way. For the last 3 years, I've been training every single day. My upper body and lower body, but just not a lot of squats.
No days off.
No days off.
No days
Zero.
off.
Nope.
The gauntlet has been thrown. All you trail runners listening out there, you cannot do as many pull-ups as John here. And John, I have to tell you, you said that you just say you're gonna do 1,000 burpees. I'm gonna sit here and do 1,000 burpees. I can safely say that I don't do 1,000 anything.
Oh, okay. I can understand that. And the thing I figured out about the 1,000 burpees is, number one, don't lose count. So what I do is I get my composition book and I write 10 100 times. And I'll just X off 10, do 10, X off 10, and just keep going. Now, the last time I did that, but at number 730 something, I said, I need a break from doing that. So what I did is I started to write down the national parks. So I wrote down one national park. I was saying how many I could remember. And okay, I'll do 40 for that. And I just broke it down into little pieces until I got to 1,000 burpees. So I've done that a few times. And I enjoy doing things like that are just incredibly challenging. And for me, it's not outside the box. For me, it's inside my box. It's inside this little square. I can do that. I've seen other people do it. I know I can do it.
John, that's quite a box you got there, buddy.
Yeah.
And I'm curious, did you assign a certain number of burpees per national park based on how well attended they were? Like Yosemite National Park got maybe 120 burpees.
Yeah.
Capitol Reef only got like 5.
Right. Like the ones in where it was a national park and I didn't even know it was national park. Oh my goodness. Oh, I'm trying to think of the really small one. I think maybe there was one in Arizona that I'm like, I've never heard of this. I'm just going to give it 25. Yosemite got like 100. Like I'll do 100 for Yosemite. And that little section there got me out of that section. And then I said, okay, let's refocus, go back to doing 10, 10, 10, 10, 10, and then to get it all done again.
Yeah, I mean that's a good strategy when you are maybe pounding miles out there on the trail, or you're kind of locked in a monotonous thing that's really a grind. If you change it up a little bit by playing games like that, little mental games, keep you sharp, keep you going, make time pass by.
Absolutely, and it usually takes me about I think the fastest I've done it's almost 2.5 to almost 3 hours. Yeah.
Wow.
And I'm just going, and I just chop down that tree. Just keep going. Yeah.
Yeah. You did great on question number 1, trekking poles or no trekking poles. But I tell you what, I hear these explanations. We kind of do these little offshoots. It helps me. You may have gotten full credit on trekking poles, but this little side story about 1,000 burpees, you might have lost some points there. So.
I probably did.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
All right. Question number 2. What's on your feet?
What's right now are my boots. Are my boots for work. Now these boots are regularly $250. I walked into a 511 store and there were used boots sitting in the box. I got them for $2.50.
Ooh.
They're definitely worn, but I absolutely love them. They're good tactical boots, but they're definitely worn. But yeah, my boots for work. Basically.
But you're not wearing those on the trail. You're wearing your ultras on the trail.
Oh no, I'm wearing my all trails on the trail. Yeah.
Okay. Now, have you ever done an overnight, John?
Only at Whitney.
Okay.
That was it.
Do you prefer to use when you're doing overnight? Do you prefer to use a tent, tarp, hammock, bivvy, or did you just cowboy camp out there?
I had a sleeping bag, and I can tell you an angel. I'll just say there are angels in this world, and I strongly feel that they do look out, and they're put in our lives for a reason. When I went up and did Whitney, I didn't go for the lottery. I said I'm just going to go to the ranger station and wait. And someone said, just wait, because somebody's not going to show up. So that's what I did. At the ranger station in Lone Pine opened up at 11 o'clock. So I waited, got there at 11 o'clock, just waited around. They called out a couple names. Those people didn't show up. I raised my hand. I said, I'll get it. Got my little green tag. Got on that road, started driving all the way up the road. And during that time, they were doing construction. So it wasn't it was a long wait to get up there. This is 2016. Yeah. Get up there, and I have my food, I have my boots, and that day I had my minimalist running shoes, my minimalist shoes. I didn't have ultras, rather. So I get up there, and I have my warm jacket, I have my beanie. I have a very special beanie that my niece made for me. And I wore that. I get up there, and I go into that little store because I was kind of hungry. I was going to get a little bit of food. And the thing I completely forgot to bring with me was a sleeping bag. And I didn't know what to do. I'm like looking around, and I see all these people going in and out. They have all their gear. I call it Gucci gear. They look really cool. I'm like, what the hell am I doing up here? And over in the corner, I saw a sleeping bag, and I'm like, oh my God, it's going to cost me an arm and a leg. So I was like, I'm going to wing it. So I walked up to the lady, really nice lady. I said, hey, can I borrow that sleeping bag over there? And I'll bring it back, but can I borrow it? She said, yeah, go right ahead. And that lifted up a huge fear of mine because everybody had their sleeping bag. And I'm like, how am I going to sleep? I'm just going to lay down on the ground. So lady let me use the sleeping bag. So I cowboy camped with just the sleeping bag at the, what's that trail? What's that? First Camp. I think it's called First Camp.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, I got up there and I was freezing cold, and I really didn't get any sleep anyway. I got up there and slept under the stars. And at about 2 a.m., I got up and I said, I want to go. I need to go right now. And I was supposed to go. There were some people camping away from me, a nice Korean group. They were going to leave at a certain time. So I was like, I'll go and leave. I'll go with you guys. I did leave with them for about 30 minutes, and I just took off. I'm honestly in my head, it's like, you guys moving way too slow. I just kept going from there. But I'm glad I did return that sleeping bag, and that lady was so nice to me. I gush over that story because I didn't have a sleeping bag at all.
That's fantastic. So that wasn't on a shelf or anything. It was just sitting in a corner.
It was just sitting in the corner.
Yeah. Wow.
Just there. Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
Trail Angel right there in the Whitney Portal store.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
All right. So you answered the next question on the hiking pole. My next question was sleeping bag or quilt. You have a sleeping bag?
Sleeping bag, yep.
Yep. Question number 5. Have you ever done any multiple day where you had to cook your own food or have take care of your own food out there?
Usually when in the military, MREs.
Yeah. So is that with the stove? Is that with the stove, or is that just
no?
Eat it cold.
Open it, and these MREs had a heating element where you pour a little bit of water at the very bottom and you let it sit there, and it will boil. And you stick your MRE inside the pack. You let it sit for a little bit. Boom, heats up the pack. No fire, no nothing, and you just discard the heating element. This is old school. I don't know if they still use those, but it's an MRE that has a heating element already in it. So it's pretty easy.
Okay.
Oh, yeah. But when I went to Whitney, what did I eat? I had gummy bears and a Del Taco bean and cheese burrito, and that was it. It was the best thing ever.
That is breakfast of champions right there.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
All right. Question number 6 on the hiking pole: is life better above or below the tree line?
Below. The reason I say that is I get to deal with people, and I love people. I like dealing with people. I absolutely love it. Going above the tree line, hey, it's great, and I love it. You get the oxygen and the air and the energy of all of that, and you're alone in solitude, and I love all of that. That helps me deal with people down here, down below the tree line. It helps me be a good person on a regular basis. And where I work, though the people that come through that door, I always say this, they are there for a reason and they need our help. And if I can be nice and to them, I do my best to be as nice as I possibly can, because again, those people walking through those doors are there for a reason. So I would say life is better below the tree line.
Okay. Now, question number 7, I'm going to throw in a substitute question because I think it'll apply better. This is a real life question, big issue that people deal with on a daily basis. We could probably devote an entire season to the podcast to this one question. Do you roll your toilet paper over or under?
Up and over.
Up and over. And why is that?
Up and over. Ease. Ease of use.
Nice. No hesitation there. You had your answer on that ready to go.
Oh, yeah.
That's great. All right, John, I need you to stand by just for a second. I've got to do some math. We need to take your answers and put them through the John Freaking Mearpod algorithm.
All right.
Got to carry the 2. We're going to divide that by pi, multiply by root 5, and we're going to adjust for the wind chill at first camp at 2 a.m. And I come up with a score of 52. 52.
Okay.
So, yeah, you're a lot saner than your wife thinks.
Yes, I am a little sane, a little bit.
Just north of that halfway point. So that's
yeah.
good. Now, John, before we get too far down the trail, let's back up a little bit. Love to hear about your background, where you grew up, what kinds of sports and hobbies you played as a kid, and how did you get involved in all this outdoor adventure?
All right. Well, I born and raised, and I was born in Jackson, Michigan, but I was mostly raised in a little town called Union Pier, Michigan, which is just south. I have 2 brothers, sister, mom and dad. My dad was one of the first game wardens in Michigan. So that's his job. In California, they don't have very many game wardens at all. But in Michigan, back east, they're all over the place. So he was a game warden there. So I think that sparked my fun for going outside. Plus, we lived in Michigan, and we lived near Lake Michigan, which is, Lake Michigan. So we could always go to the lake and go outside and everything. Further on, I joined the Boy Scouts. Me and my brother were in the Boy Scouts, but I stayed the longest in. And we had our Scoutmaster, Mr. Kiefer, old World War II veteran, old Scoutmaster, mean, but he really, I think as young boys, he really pushed us. Like we'd go on these long hikes in the middle of winter, and he would push all of us out there. So I remember doing that on the back roads of Union Pier, Michigan, and New Buffalo. So from there, after getting out of the Boy Scouts, I played basketball for a little while, and I was terrible at it, absolutely terrible. But I was a good team player. That was my number one thing. I knew I didn't have very much talent for shooting the hoops, but I could hustle, and no one could out hustle me. I never started any basketball, any game ever, but I played my hardest in practice. I would give the star player fits. I would be up on him and just nag him and, make sure that he was ready to go up against the other team's best players and things like that. So I took pride in that, in practice and being really good at practice. I played one season of football, broke my hand, and my dad's like, no more. You're never doing that again. So I wanted to do something during the fall. I went and joined band. And that's where I found my niche, I guess, my tribe, I guess you could say. Because in marching band, I tried out for be the drum major, and I got it. So I was a drum major for 3 years for my high school. So we came from a very, very small school. So if you did band, you also did something else. So I did band and I did basketball during mostly all my high school years. But in band, that's where I thrived. I played the drums. I was very good at playing drums, xylophone, the bells, the big Christmas bells, you can call them that. And I was a drum major during marching band season. So that right there, without going to any leadership courses or doing anything, I was a leader out the gate. It wasn't until I think it was into my senior year, I already been a drum major for 2 years. That's when they sent me to a camp called Smith and Walbridge in Syracuse, Indiana. It is an actual drum major camp that all the drum majors from all over America go to that camp. And that's where I learned a little bit more about leadership and being just being a better drum major throughout that. So I played basketball.
How was it being at a camp full of drum majors? Are they unusual? A little strange? Or are they?
Yeah. Very geeky. Yeah, that's because I was part of that group. I was geeky right along with them.
Yeah, and I can laugh along with you because my son was a kicker. He was a kicker on the team, and I sent him to a football camp in Wisconsin. Nice. He on his own, right? He's 16 years old. He flies to Wisconsin to this summer kicking camp, and he came back with some stories. He's like, Dad, he says, these kickers, man, they're different. They are unusual. He says I'm pretty normal, but these guys, they're out there. So I was just envisioning, drum major camp, how that would compare.
Oh goodness, it was a bunch of men and women are all alphas. All of us. We were always up and like we're leading, we're learning how to lead, and we were the top dogs in the band, whatever that meant. But it was a lot of fun. I learned a lot. Some good, met some good people there. Definitely.
Did you have a girlfriend in high school?
Yes, I had a girlfriend. Her name was Michael. Very unique name for a girl. Beautiful though. Yeah, she was beautiful. Yeah,
and I understand that she helped contribute to your outdoor activities as well.
Oh, a little bit. I had to ride my bike to see her. Yeah, she lived in LaPorte, Indiana. I lived in Union Pier. It was like 30 miles to go see her. So I borrowed a friend's bike. I said, "Hey man, I want to go see my girlfriend," and he's like, "I borrowed your bike." And I would get on my bike, head on that bike, and hit on that road. Oh gosh, what was the name of that street? Oh, anyway, there's a road that led you all the way to LaPorte, Indiana, and I stayed on that road all the way there just to see her. Sad thing about her, when I got out of high school, she got strung out on drugs pretty much. During that time was crystal meth was big. She got strung out and just screwed with her health really bad. But yeah, I would get on that bike and go see her whenever I could.
How long would it take you to do those 30 miles?
Goodness. Jeez. See, I would leave school a little bit early, around 2:00, and just head on out to like 4 or 5 hours. It seemed like 4 or 5 hours, but I would be on that road forever. And I remember her mom was not happy about that. She would get mad at me because, I'm going to see her daughter pretty much. And I just rolled my bike out here and I would come rolling up into the gravel driveway, and her mom would be outside looking, and I'm like waving because I wanted to see her daughter. So it made for some good drive back homes because the mom would feel so bad she would put the bike in her car and we would drive it back.
So John, where does this level of determination come from? I mean, we're talking about 1,000 burpees. We're talking about no days off. We're talking about pull-ups. We're talking about riding 30 miles to see your girlfriend. I mean, there is a level of determination there.
Yeah, there is. And the other part of that, I'm using this word a lot more now, is I'm motivated to do it. I am truly motivated when I see something I want to do. I'm motivated to do it. And I do understand, I hear it a lot that motivation doesn't last. I say it does. I say it lasts as long as you want it to last. So for me, it's every day. My motivation is every single day. And when I wanted to go see my girlfriend, the motivation is I want to go see my girlfriend. That's the motivation. When I want to do 1,000 burpees, I want to do it because I want to do it. I want to accomplish the mission. I want to get through it. I want to see what happens if I did it. I ran down from Vista, California to Claremont Mesa, San Diego area. It's 28 miles. Someone bet me, said I wouldn't do it. And I'm like, yes, I will. I was going to a meeting. There happened to be a meeting down in, I think it's a place called Claremont Mesa. Well, it's San Diego, right off the 805. I lived in Vista. And my partner's like, she's like, you're not going to go to this meeting. I was like, yeah, I'm going to go to this meeting. My car was broken at the time. And I was like, I'm going to this meeting. And she said, and I said, I'm going to get there. I'll figure it out. And she said, I'll bet you won't run. I was like, yes, I will. So I got my little backpack, started off very, very early in the morning and just took off. And I was on Vista to Oceanside to Carlsbad, all the way down the Pacific Coast Highway. And I trotted. It wasn't a run. It was definitely a little trot all the way down into San Diego, into the Torrey Pines, past La Jolla. Then you make a left-hand turn to go on Universal Town. But eventually I got there. And it was, I got to that meeting. I had to change clothes, put on something kind of nice. And I remember sitting in that meeting, nodding my head. I said, the girl that told me I wouldn't do it was sitting right there. And she asked me, how did you get here? I said, I ran here. 20 some odd miles. I think it's over 28 miles to get there.
Wow.
And it was just because I was motivated. I was motivated to do this.
Are you oppositional? If someone says you can't do something, you're gonna dig in your heels and you're gonna do it?
Yeah, pretty much. But the other part of that, most people that know me know I'll do some crazy shit anyway. So they usually won't say you can't. Throughout my whole life, I really haven't heard those words that much. Honestly, my dad, my parents, pastors, teachers always said this: you are not very talented, Woods. You're just going to have to outwork everybody. And that right there has stuck with me throughout my whole life. My parents were realistic about me. It's like, you're not that smart, you're not that talented, but you will outwork everybody. And that's what, that's what I think my teachers loved about me, and my coaches loved about me, and my music teacher loved about me, that I would just work at it and work at it and work at it until I got it right, or at least partly right. So I think that it was grit. I call it just grit. And I'm going to bear down and I'm going to grind this thing out. So yeah, I've been very blessed that most people haven't said you can't.
Yeah, they haven't said you can't. They've just said you're not talented enough. You better work hard.
Right. Yeah.
Okay.
You're just going to have to work hard.
All right. Let's put a pin in that right there. Let's take a quick break. Let's hear from the advertisers. We'll come back and we're going to get into some adventures with chicken legs. Stay tuned for that. We'll be right back. Welcome back. We're talking to John Woods, a.k.a. Chicken Legs. Hardest working guy out there, evidently. I mean, he is really grinding it, doing what he has to do and being successful. So we talked about Boy Scouts. I think I said in the intro that you were also a Marine.
Roger that. Yeah. I was in the Marine Corps. and I was the Marine Corps and Army SRT, but first the Marines. And that was because one of my friends had joined the Marine Corps. He had came back from boot camp, and I saw him in his dress blues. And I said, I wanted to do that. I'm like, I really want to do that. So me and my buddy Ron went down to the recruiter's office, raised our hand, and August the 3rd, we say this a lot. August the 3rd is the day I put my feet on the yellow footprints. And at the Marine Corps MCRD in San Diego, that's what you put your feet on before you walk through those doors into MCRD. So, yeah, I joined the Marine Corps, got through boot camp, which was tough. It's exactly what's been portrayed. Very tough. And they do always yell at you. I was never hit by a drill instructor, but I was spat upon. And this was by drill instructors, Staff Sergeant Brown from New York City. And he had a strong accent. And he had a gold tooth. And he was so mean. But he would just call you every name in the book. He would put his smoker right up into your face and just start chewing you out for nothing. Just completely loses his mind over the little things because he wanted you to have attention to detail and be perfect, pretty much. He wanted you to be perfect. I remember one particular time I think I stepped out of line doing a drill. He grabbed me, pulled me over to the side, and just started what they call smoke you. Basically, he just says begin. And what you start doing is bends and thrusts, which are burpees, basically. She says begin, and you start doing bends and thrusts. Then it says stop, jumping jacks. You start doing jumping jacks, and then stop, get on your back, do sit-ups. He gives you all these commands, all in a row, and you better be moving fast, or you're going to be there for a very long time. So I get up.
This is where you picked up your love of burpees. I have a feeling.
I think so. He gave me that love of burpees. I'm like, and now I love them. And he would get up in your face and he would just spout off every curse word you could possibly come up with. And all that spittle would be in your face. You can't move. You can't say anything. You just say, sir, yes, sir. Sir, yes, sir. And that's it. And you take it. And I'm so glad I went through all of that. Now knowing what I know now, because it really prepared me to be resilient. I think there's better, really good, resilient, learning that I can put up with just about anything. Learning that those men in leadership are there for a reason, and they're teaching you how to stay alive. Basically, that's what it is. You're trying to stay alive throughout your time there. So did boot camp, and after that was over, you go to a school, and I didn't do very well on the ASVAB test. There's an ASVAB test that you take. And what happened was I did terrible, so I went to cook school. So I was a cook and a baker for the first part of my Marine Corps career. I enjoyed that. I learned a lot from that. I learned how that a lot of the chow or the emphasis was on you. You basically had to get up early in the morning by yourself, get a set of keys, go and open up that chow hall and get chow going for all the Marines that come through. So you had a lot of responsibility. So back then, this is, before computers and all that stuff, you had to handwrite recipe cards, sit there and write them all out, portion them out, get a calculator, calculate all your portions for the day. And it really taught me, to be responsible, because that Marine that just came from the field wants a piece of cake that's done right, wants an omelet that's done right. And that's all they want. They want some good chow. And looking back on that, I'm like, I was a part of that. That's what I did, and I did it really good. I was very good at cooking and baking and all that good stuff.
What was your specialty?
My specialty, I did cakes from scratch. I think I still could do a cake from scratch. I used to make cakes from scratch, and I did that, and I loved it. I absolutely enjoyed making that food for the Marines to come through. Now, you had that job, and you were automatically a grunt too, meaning 0311. So you had basically a dual purpose. You cooked, you made sure that all the Marines got fed, and you carried a weapon with you. You always, when you're out in the field, you always carried your weapon with you. So you're doing your job and doing other stuff too. So during my whole military, that part of my career, I enjoyed all of that until I wanted something different. Since I wasn't that talented, I wanted to do better on my ASVAB. So you're allowed to retake that ASVAB. So I studied my ass off for about a year almost before I was able to retake my ASVAB. So I went in, retook that ASVAB to get a higher score, and I got a higher score, much higher score. And I wanted to do intelligence, what they call an O2. So I wanted to shift my focus to do something else, analyzing pretty much maps, analyzing data, analyzing a whole bunch of stuff. So I took that test and did really well in the ASVAB. And I had to get a letter from my commanding officer to change what they call our MOS. So I had to beg and plead with my commanding officer. I wanted to change my MOS. And eventually I did get a change of my MOS. After doing that, and I did that for a while, I'm not going to get too much into the stuff. It's not super secret stuff. Not to say that. It's just very complicated. And then it's just not that glamorous at all. It's just analyzation of a lot of stuff. It wasn't until I got out of the Marine Corps, did my time, got out of the Marine Corps, 9/11 happens. 9/11 happens. I get pissed off. So I was like, I can't go back into the Marine Corps because I was already out. But I can go join the Army. And during that time, they were really like, hey, you want to come and join the Army? So as a Marine, you did not have to go through boot camp again. So I went down to the recruiter's office down in the Army. I was only a little bit older at the time. And so I raised my hand and said, I want to join. And when I joined the Army, it was another 6 years. And I just got deployed. I became an MP while in the Army, got on their SRT team, and I was deployed, just getting deployed a lot. And that's for another time. I can tell you stories about that, but that right there also shaped who I am today.
And we don't have to get into it, but what were some of your deployments? Where did you end up?
Gosh. Kosovo, Japan, Iran, Iraq, Afghanistan, Pakistan.
Wow.
All of that mess. Let's call it a mess because it was a mess. Mm-hmm. However, I learned so much goodness from people. I'll keep it like that.
Okay.
My buddies.
Help us with the acronyms. NP stands for?
Military police.
Okay.
Military police.
MP. Yeah. Got it. MP. I got that. And then
MP.
SRT.
That's our swift reaction team. Yeah. So we would go out. What it also is called the QRF, which is quick reaction team. So when things go bad, they would call us, and we would get there as fast. We always had our gear ready to go at a moment's notice. Basically, supply, put out security. Say a Humvee or can't forget the word, a caravan. There we go. Big old caravan on the road gets trapped in something really bad. They would send us out there to protect it.
Got it. Got it.
That's basically. And then in the military, there's a military police part of that. And when I was doing that, I was a traffic accident investigator. So we did that part too. And that's really complicated. So did that for a while. Did my military thing. Glad I was able to do it, and glad I was able to stop it. Because at one point it was tearing me apart. It was truly tearing. It was completely changing my personality.
Yeah.
It was changing me for the worst.
Mm-hmm.
And once that last appointment was done with, I said, I am done. I don't want to do this no more. Yeah.
I can imagine.
Oh yeah.
That would, dealing with that kind of stuff day in and day out, that can certainly have a big impact on folks.
Oh goodness. Yeah. Oh yeah.
And John, what I would say, listening to all this and going back to your earlier statement, where you were told as a kid that, you're not too smart, but you just have to outwork everybody. I would tell you that someone who isn't smart wouldn't be able to do all these things that you did. I would say, I'm an educator. And so I would say that kids learn at different speeds and kids have different timetables. And,
right.
You are a sharp dude. And it maybe you didn't give the best impression early on, but you certainly have come into yourself. So,
I appreciate that. Thank you. I do.
That persistence pays off.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. Absolutely.
Now let's talk about the water a little bit.
Oh yeah.
Did you get any water training when you were in the Marines or in the Army?
No, I got very little.
Really?
They taught you a little bit of swimming. Very little. It wasn't until, again, I was in Oceanside area, and that's like the Oceanside Carlsbad is like the holy mecca of all triathlons. That's where everybody comes from. And I happened to see some bikers going through Camp Pendleton, and these guys weren't on normal bikes. They were down in their little hunch things, like down in there. And I'm like, oh, that looks so cool. I want to do that. I really want to do that. So I found out that you have to learn how to swim to do triathlons. So I'm like, okay, how am I going to do this? All right. In Carlsbad, California, there's a nuclear plant down there by the beach, and they have these jetties that come out. And of course, I asked some people, hey, you want to come out here and help me swim? Want to come out and help me swim? Of course, everyone said no. We're not coming out there with you. So I was like, okay, I'm gonna have to figure it out myself. So,
John, there's easier ways to learn how to swim.
I know.
Going off the jetty next to a nuclear power plant in the ocean.
Yeah, it was a much easier way. So I jumped in. I'm just going to do it. See, and like I know a little bit about swimming, so I'm just going to go out until I turn around and go back. And I do remember being terrified, absolutely terrified. And I probably wasn't more than 200 meters from the beach. I remember turning around, looking back at the beach, scared to death, thinking like, I'm going to die out here. I am truly going to die out here. And some told me, swim back. Just go ahead and swim back. So that started that. So I just went out there and I swam back. I said, okay, I know whether in Oceanside there's a pier. There's a pier in Oceanside, and every year they have the pier swim. I'm going to get into that. But I did it a little differently. I said, I'm going to find a coach. So I went out, and eventually I did find a coach, a master. They had a master's program at Carlsbad High School. And in the morning at 5 o'clock, I think it was. Yeah, 5 o'clock in the morning, had a master's program. So I would go there and swim in a normal pool with a coach who said, okay, this is what you need to do. And it so happened a lot of the other triathletes would be there too. So I learned to swim longer and longer distances, getting in the water comfortably. I went ahead and did the Oceanside pier swim with no issues, went around all the way around the pier. And then I was like, wow, I could do this every day. I don't need to go get a T-shirt. So for a while, I would get in my car from Vista, drive to Oceanside, and swim around the pier by myself. Pair of fins and just get out there and just do it. And I just started doing that a whole lot. Now in La Jolla, they have this thing called the Gator Man, which is 3 miles of swimming. So I was like, well, how am I going to train for this?
John,
Well,
how far was the pier swim, do you think?
the pier swim was just like a mile.
Okay, so
A little,
this
just
one's like
real close. Yeah.
okay. This one's like 3 miles. Okay,
This one's 3 miles. So I got to put in the time for that. So I'm like, okay, I'm just going to have to figure it out. I knew the route because it goes from the La Jolla shore to Scripps Pier down in San Diego. And you go that down and back is 3 miles. So I would take a bus all the way down to La Jolla. And at 10 a.m., which is really good, there was always a group of swimmers that go out at 10 a.m. These were these men and women who have swam the English Channel, done the Gator Man hundreds of times, done Catalina hundreds of times. These men and women have been doing this for years. I went down there and I just said, hey, can I swim with you? They're like, yeah, come on. So I started swimming with them on a regular basis. Got better at it, started going out on my own more often. And they told me, it said, if you're going to do the Gator Man 3 mile swim, you're going to need a guide. So I was like, what's that? Well, anyways, a guide is someone to kind of steer you in the right way. So that's usually a surfer. So I just hung out near the pier and there were some surfers there. I'm like, hey, you guys anybody want to make $60? To help me do this swim thing. One of the guys said, yeah, sure. And I paid him some money. He would be out there with me when I practiced a little bit. And then on the day of the actual swim, you had to, they would be right with you and they would swim. He would be paddling and guiding me in the right direction because that was a requirement. You had to have a guide with you. So I learned how to swim in the ocean by myself. I learned to swim with others. I still do it every once in a while whenever I can go down there. But I'm glad I learned how to do that on my own. And the couple times that I've almost drowned, I was in La Jolla, and the water was rough. It wasn't terrible, but it was definitely rough. And I was like, okay, I can do this. I'm like, yeah, I can do this. I got all this experience. I can go out there, swim as long as I want. So I go out there and I swim, hit the buoy, turn around, come back. As I'm coming back, the water started getting a little bit more choppier and the waves start coming in quicker. And as I'm coming in, I get what they call a rogue wave. I didn't see it. Comes up, wham, hits me out of nowhere, knocks me like a tumble, and everything goes black. Everything. And I even said to myself, okay, this is it. This is where I'm going to die. This is it. But the training, I said, okay, get your butt back up to the surface. Got back up to the surface. Said, okay, then training kicks in and says, okay, stop for a moment and look at where the waves are coming. Time it. And then time it at a perfect time, drop down, push off, come up. Drop down, push down, come up, and swim. Swim as fast as you can. And I got hit by another one, but I was prepared, a little bit more prepared for it. Got prepared for it, got hit again. I'm like, okay, I can do this, and swam my ass off. And when I got up to the shore, I got up and I turned around. My Speedos were like half off, and the lifeguard at the top, and he looks down, and I think he knew my name. He said, "Hey, Woods, you all right?" He's like, "I was watching you," and I'm like, "Yeah, I'm all right." And I'm like all disheveled, and like my tummy the water was cold, but so my tummy was trembling pretty bad. But I remember just like, don't do that again. You can go out with other people. It's okay. But yeah, wow. That was one of that time.
Came in with your Speedo half hanging off.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
That was not
That's a
pretty at
beating.
all.
Yeah.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Now
And
it's
I think
interesting. It's interesting that we started this whole line of conversation because you were inspired by seeing these triathletes doing the
yeah.
biking, and then you had to swim. But I have not yet heard whether or not you've done a triathlon.
Oh yeah, I've done. I have a
Oh,
big
have you?
tattoo on
Okay.
my arm. Yeah,
Okay.
you probably can't see it, but I have a tattoo. I've done one half Ironman, and all the rest of them have been a lot smaller. That half Ironman, that almost killed me. That literally almost killed me. That's a 1 mile swim, 56 mile bike ride. Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, 56 mile bike ride, and then a 13 mile run. I think I came in second to the last place.
But you finished.
I,
That's what
I
matters right there.
finished. That's what
That's
mattered.
right.
I remember. I remember they as soon as I crossed that finish line, they gave me a hat. They threw a hat on me, and I remember I didn't crawl, but I was walking really slow. And I remember this old man comes walking up to me, grabs me by the arm, and he's like, "You're gonna die, aren't you?" I'm like, "Yeah, I'm gonna die." So he puts me under the water and just starts dumping water on me. And this guy was old. He had to be in his 70s. He had, finished long before I did. He was just dumping water on me. And I was like maybe half his age, maybe a little bit younger. But I was humbled by that. Definitely humbled.
That is a humbling experience.
Oh,
Anytime
yeah.
I'm in a race, there's always competitors that are way older than me that I think in my mind these people should be way behind me, and they're finishing
Right.
in front of me. So you know what?
Oh, goodness. Yeah.
It doesn't matter the time. It matters that I did it and I finished.
Yep. 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 But I'm glad I learned how to swim. But I think I mentioned to you that my brother actually saved my life out in Lake Michigan, the frozen tundra of Lake Michigan during the winter time. We were out there playing, and I'll never forget it. We're out there playing on the frozen lake that also had sand on it. We're thinking it's safe, thinking it's like, oh, this is great. We're gonna go out here and play all day. I remember falling right on down, and my brother thought real fast and just reached down and just pulled me up. And now, mind you, my brother's smaller than I am. He reached down and just grabbed me and drugged me out of there. And I was incredibly thankful. I was completely freaked out, and I knew my parents we were going to be in trouble. But we weren't. We got back to the house. I was cold and wet, and my brother just said, "Yeah, he fell in," and my brother pulled me out. So I'm very grateful to my brother to this day about that.
Nice. Let's transition to hiking. Now you mentioned Ice House, the Ice House
Yes.
Trail, which for those who aren't familiar with Southern California, where can they find the Ice House Trail?
Ice House Trail is it's in between the Angeles and the San Gabriel. Yeah, San Gabriel Mountains. It's a trail. Pretty easy to find. It's like going to Mount Baldy area.
Ice House Canyon Trail. Yeah. And so it's very close to Baldy. Also, you can get to Rancho Cucamonga Peak. Sorry, Cucamonga Peak.
Yes. Yes, you can also get there from that Ice House Canyon Trail. Ice House Canyon Trail for me is a training trail. I go up there so much because of the elevation, and it's really treacherous. And I like that. I want the rock. I want the elevation and all that good stuff. So I've done that several times. I've done what they call the triple T's, which is Telegraph, Thunder, and Timber in that area. I've done Baldy quite a few times. I've done Iron Mountain, which is west of Baldy, way west of Baldy, but it's one of the tougher hikes because it gets elevation really fast. I've done Cucamonga, I've done Etowanda, done Bighorn, done Ontario. I haven't done, I think it's called Sheep Mountain, wherever. But I've done all of those. I've done Whitney. I've done Iron, Whitney. Oh, I've done San Gregorio. So in the grand themes in the California hiking community, there's a thing called the Three Saints, and that's San Antonio, San Gregorio, and San Jacinto. I have yet to do San Jacinto. That's in Palm Springs area.
Right.
So
Now,
I'm waiting. Someday I'll do that.
San Gorgonio, that is the tallest peak in Southern California.
Yes, that is. And I did that with no food, and very little water. Matter of fact, no, I remember I just had like one bottle of water, a very small bottle, because I got water coming back. There was a stream there, and I would just scoop up some water, drink, and just keep going.
Yeah, and there's a number of trails to get to the top of Gorgonio, but that is no joke. That is a good trainer for Whitney, because it's like a 20-mile round trip. Trip, and with a lot of elevation gain. I think it's over 10,000 feet. I think it's closer to 11.
Oh yeah, it's 11.5 maybe.
11.5, yes.
I believe it's 11.5. Yeah, but I've done all those, and again, people will look at it however they look at it, and that's okay. Most of the time, I don't carry water with me, and I don't carry food. I understand now that, that's definitely not the way to go. Now doing search and rescue, you shouldn't do that. But that's what I did. I didn't like carrying a bunch of water with me, and I definitely did not like carrying a bunch of food. And I was by myself most of the time, like almost all the time. All the peaks I've done, except for most of all of them I was by myself. So it was my responsibility, and I took that risk. I don't take those risks anymore like that. With doing search and rescue now, I'm more pack. I take a pack with me now. I still look at it as annoying because now I got to carry weight with me, but it's for the best. Definitely for the best.
Got it. Tell us a little bit about search and rescue. How'd you get involved with that?
It happened to be a lady standing next to me at work. She was talking about a hobby she had. And I was looking at her, I'm like, what do you do again? She said, yeah, I just go out in the mountains and we rescue people every once in a while. And I looked at her like, you do what? This is, her name was Fran. Nice young lady. And I'm like, you do what? She's like, I volunteer for search and rescue. And it's like, that's a thing. You can actually volunteer. This is not like a paid thing. She's like, no, it's not a paid thing. You volunteer for this. And I just started asking her a ton of questions. And she said, start coming to the meetings. And this was last year. And hold on a second. Okay, baby. Okay. That's my lovely wife. Come here, baby.
Oh, she's going to make an appearance.
Please. Okay.
She's not.
He says that she's hello. She says hello. All right, sweetie. All right. So Fran just got me interested. She said, come to the meeting. And the commitment is you have to go at least 5 meetings before they even give you an interview. So I'm totally interested. I want to do this. So I started looking it up, doing my own little research, and I went to all the meetings, started just hanging out because with liability reasons, you can go hiking and see them and stop and watch them, but you cannot participate. So that's what I did. They would say, hey, we're going to Wrightwood. And I would drive up to Wrightwood and just sit there and listen and watch them as they're doing it. The good part about it, I wasn't alone. There was another guy who did the same thing that I did. We would go up there and just sit and watch what they did and what they were practicing. So we couldn't do anything until we got an interview and got on the team. So I got my interview. It was a Zoom meeting with a bunch of other search and rescue people. I had a meeting with the sheriff because it was San Bernardino Sheriff Mountain Rescue. So I had to go through the sheriff department. I had to apply for it. Fingerprints, background check, the whole thing. It's like becoming a deputy, basically. Went through that. We just now signed up for our first class, which is rope rescue. Basically, you get a bunch of rope and you're figuring out how to save yourself and save somebody else. That's basically what it is. So now I'm watching just about every video on knots, learning every knot I can possibly, looking at a knot video and slowing it down real so I can like match what they're doing and trying to make it a figure eight with a hitch look like what they're doing. So it's been a very good learning experience and land navigation. And now in the military, I wasn't very good at land nav at all. Well, all of a sudden now I'm a lot better at it because I don't have the other stuff going on, I can only focus on land navigation. Doing that. And now, so we have our rope class in June. In September is what they call the BSAR class. It's the actual basic search and rescue. It's 3 weekends. You have to go out in the wilderness and they teach you basic search and rescue. The first aid part, tracking people, getting to the spot, to the person, getting to the patient or the subject as we call them. Getting there safely, providing care for that person, or for the last couple of them, just walking them back. They just walk with you, or providing a blanket, carrying extra clothes with you, carrying extra food with you in order to have the patient or, I keep getting this word wrong. The patient, we'll call him the patient.
Subject.
The subject, thank you. The subject to be safe, to get them back to their family. I am very, very blessed to be with a team of people, men and women, who go out all the time. At the moments of, they have that ability to go out on just about every call. And especially this one lady, her name is Christine. She's from France. She goes out on all the calls. I mean, she's out there. But she has so much information and she tells you what to bring, what not to bring, stuff you don't need. And she told me this: since I train every day and I do a lot of my own hiking, I go pretty quick. She said, that is an asset, because the first thing to get to the subject is you got to get there. And a lot of times search and rescue takes their time, and that's good. They're supposed to gather information, make a plan, and go. And in that go, a lot of times the search and rescue guys aren't very fast. And she even said they're not very fast. You have the ability to go fast, and you know where you're going. As long as you know where you're going, you get there safely, you get on that radio, say, hey, the subject's right there. I see the subject and the subject's moving. Let me make a hasty attachment to a rock and let me start the process. I wouldn't do by myself, but let me start the process and making an assessment of how we're going to get down there. So I'm very glad that I'm very glad that I want to be an asset to this team. And with some more education and more training, I will be an asset to this team. So
yeah, that speed and getting a jump start there on, cutting down the time, that could be a matter of life and death. So that is
yes.
that.
Yeah. So I'm really just watching a lot of videos on search and rescue and the mindset of it all.
Yeah, and with all the snow that we've gotten in the Sierras and even down here in our local mountains, I mean, this could be a big year for search and rescue. So
it already is. It already is. They're getting called out just about every weekend. There's a call out, or in the middle of the week. I think one of the last call outs was on a Tuesday. Some snowboarder at Baldy went on the wrong side, got caught up there, and he got on his phone. I guess, it's a good thing there was a signal for 911. He got a hold of the sheriff department. Sheriff department got a hold of the search and rescue team. It wasn't ours. It was West Valley, and they got up there and got him. Okay. So it's a good that there are a lot of teams in our area. There's like maybe 7 or 8 teams that are fully equipped and ready to go.
All right. Hey, John, you know where we are?
Where we are we? Hello?
Hiking hacks.
Hiking hacks. That's right. This is
Hiking
time for
hacks.
you
Okay.
to share some trail wisdom, some outdoor adventure wisdom with our listeners to make their next outdoor experience even better. What kind of tips or tricks or bit of wisdom do you have for us, John?
Number one, hydrate before on every hike. Hydrate before every hike. Boots are great. Get a good pair of tennis shoes and you could go a lot faster. What else? Oh, good. Oh, train for a hike. I mean, why not? Get on a Stairmaster.
Do some burpees.
Do some burpees.
Yes.
Sure. Make sure that you're on that trail, that you're safe, and you can do the hike at a good pace. Not everyone's going to go at a fast pace. I understand that. But at least do a few lunges to get those legs strong.
That's right. All right. So there you have it. We are almost done here. Hope our listeners enjoyed our time with John. I want to thank him for joining us this week. John, how can our listeners keep up with you on social media, and where can they find updates on your latest adventures?
Well, you can get on social media. It would be Black People Who Swim. That's what it is. Love it. Off Instagram. That's about it. Facebook is John Robert Woods. That's about it. That's all I do.
Okay.
You might see a video. I think that's how you got a hold of that. There's a video of me on there, having a good time on the trail. And that video actually has gone viral. It's crazy. It's a crazy video. And
Chicken Legs has gone viral.
Yep, exactly.
Nice. Remember to check out the pod on social media as well. We are on Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, Twitter, and TikTok. And if you have comments or clips you want to share with me, you can send it to me at johnfreakinmere@gmail.com.
Off the beaten path.
Now, unfortunately, we can't always be on the trail. And when we're not, we need to find a way to get our adventure fix. So, John, I'm going to ask you to share some outdoor adventure media with our listeners to help them get by. This could be a book or a movie or a documentary. We call this segment Off the Beaten Path. Any suggestions or recommendations for us, John?
Right now is Alex Honnold's Hurt. If you can find that on Real Rock TV, REEL Rock TV. If you can find that, I've been looking for it. It's Alex Honnold's. Oh God, in Red Rock, not Red Rock, but in Vegas, that there's a adventure he's doing right now. I've been looking for it. There's a snippet of it on Real Rock, REEL Rock, and he's doing this all solo by himself, no rope, no anything. So I'm looking forward to seeing that. And of course, I've watched Free Solo. Free Solo.
Free Solo. Yeah.
Watch that. And I watched the Dawn Wall. Oh gosh, that I watched the one on Netflix of the Alpinist about the kid who died up there. That was
spoiler alert. Spoiler alert. Don't give away the ending there.
Oh, okay. Alpinist. Oh man, other ones. Oh god, the Dawn Wall definitely. Alpinist.
Yeah, those are all great.
And anything, absolutely anything with oh gosh, the ultra runner Courtney. The documentaries is all she's on. Courtney Duttwalder.
Yes,
I watch everything.
She is so
she's in another world.
Yeah. Okay, those are all fantastic recommendations. Thank you so much, John.
And another one. I'll give another one. You can probably.
Oh, wait, he's got one more.
I have another one. The gentleman's called the Black Sherpa, out of Colorado.
Okay.
He's one of two people that I know of has done all of the 14s in Colorado. He's on Instagram, and I think he has a documentary, but I'm not 100%
okay.
clear.
The Black Sherpa.
The Black Sherpa, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Very good.
He's a good guy. Good guy.
Have we not asked you?
All right. And before we wrap things up, just one more segment for you called What Have I Not Asked You That You're Dying to Tell Us About? What did we miss tonight, John?
Oh my goodness. I have got great grandkids.
No.
I have my wife. I love my wife. I love my wife. I wouldn't be able to do any of this without my wife. Yeah. And I love my grandkids. And I think the number one thing is I probably wouldn't do this without my grandkids, because knowing that I have that in my head makes me always want to come back. I want to get back. I got to get back to my grandkids.
Nice.
Yeah. They're
Now,
good.
John,
Yeah, I love
John,
them.
you said you had great grandkids. And so I was thinking,
Yeah.
but you were saying that your grandkids are great.
Yeah. No,
Not that
yeah,
you
they're
have,
great.
not that you have great grandkids.
Oh, I
not-
do have a great grandchild. Yes, I do.
That is insane, John.
Oh, do I have a picture of her? Oh, yeah. Yeah, well, I'll send you a picture of her.
Okay.
Yeah, Jasmine is my great grandchild. And I have 3 other grandchildren. Marina, Jenna, and Marco.
Okay.
Yeah, those are my babies. Those are my babies.
Fantastic. All right. Hey, we are finished. Thank you for coming on the podcast. We wish you the very best in your future adventures in search and rescue. And we hope you'll consider coming back at some point and sharing some more epic stories. As we close up today, do you have any shout outs to friends and family, John?
Shout out to my wife and all my grandkids. Big shout out to my wife, Alice. She's a nurse at USC. She's pretty awesome. I also like to shout out to Black Men Hike LA. Big supporter of those men. Outdoor Afro. Black Women Hike LA. All that.
Nice. All right. Hey, thank you for tuning in. Always remember, the trail is the trail. It doesn't care if you want to go downhill. It doesn't care if it's almost dark and you're looking for a campsite. It doesn't even care if drill instructor Brown has been smoking you all day long. The trail is the trail. Embrace the suck.